Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Songs of Healing podcast with Ian Taylor, a podcast where we explore the healing elements of song and songwriting and how they are used to heal and process life experiences. I am your host, Ian Taylor, singer-songwriter, coach, and humble student of life, offering my perspectives, wisdom, heartfelt honesty, and story. This song is called Darkness Descends. It's off that EP that I released in 2015. It's a continuation. This episode is a continuation of this story arc of my life, starting with the 2011 release of the EP recorded in my apartment that I shared with my girlfriend at the time. And this one takes place in 2015. In 2011, 2015, went through a breakup with that girl, went through a breakup with the band I was in, the electronic rock band I was in called The Height, after we went to South by Southwest in Austin to perform. And from there is when I delved into men's work. It's when I delved into attending men's groups regularly. I think a lot of what was happening for me at that time, I started reading Robert Bly books. Robert Bly started the mythopoetic men's movement back in the late 80s, early 90s. And the New Warrior Training Adventure was kind of an offshoot of that, kind of. And just always been actually interested in that. Actually, around this time is when I really got interested in the people around this work. Robert Bly, Michael Meade. There are others too, but those are the prominent ones for me. And a lot of it had to do, the information that I was taking in, the books I was reading, the groups I was attending, had to do with the ramifications, the effects, and the consequences of not having strong masculine presence in our life, in a man's life, in a young man's life. And I really believed in it when I was reading it because, I grew up with a beautiful father with his own issues. He was actually an artist as well, but kind of chose the path of raising a family rather than pursuing his art, and then also dealing with his own traumas from his own childhood. And he struggled with alcohol, and so that was a big presence in my childhood, seeing him struggle, seeing him not really able to be present. And it affected me to the regards of, at this time, in my late 20s, early 30s, I realized, wow, I actually have no idea what masculinity even means, let alone positive masculinity and who I am in relation to that. So, yeah, deep into men's work, men's groups, work around healing, work around interpreting a man's role in this world. There's a lot in it. There's a lot in that. And also at that time is when I really started going deep into my own inner work and also started to be study to become a coach. Started studying coaching. Went to a program called the Interchange Counseling Institute, where I learned how to really sit with people in honesty, hold space for people, bring deep presence to an individual, expressing themselves honestly, expressing their sorrows, expressing their hardships, as well as me getting support and just learning skills around this. So, that's kind of what was swirling around for me at this time that I released this EP, wrote this song, Darkness Descends. And like I said, I was kind of, I think through the men's work that I was doing and the things I was studying at the time, and just my own awareness around what I personally was going through around darkness descending in my own life, I really think that this stuff kind of happens when we leave home for the first time, whether that's go to another country, after college or after high school, or go to college, or move away from your home base. It's kind of when you start to really discover who you are outside of the comforts of your home, and how there's a kind of growing pain experience in that. I think some people thrive in it, some people don't, And regardless, I think we all go through experiences in growing up of having to face loneliness, having to face the absence of tribe that we grew up around, our family, our friends from our hometown, and having to face having to face ourselves as we interface face with the world that we don't know, that is unknown to us, and having to figure out who we are and how to make home in that world that is unknown to us, the big world. For me, that was pretty big throughout my 20s, this process, as I've expressed in other episodes. My default was to get into a relationship in order to feel safe. And this was the first time in my life that I was actively choosing not to be in a relationship, but to find my inner safety, my inner confidence, my inner security. And it's not as if breaking up with that girl, breaking up with this band gave me that immediately. No, it more actually had me face myself and face all the kind of traumas that I had gone through around my family, around my friend groups, around school, and my own insecurities, my own deep insecurities that I cultivated through interfacing with all of those things in my childhood. So, in a way, even though I was ready for the shift, I was a bit more courageous, a bit more older at that time, and a bit more ready to face that darkness that inevitably descends as we embark into the world to find ourselves, to find our true purpose. So this song really is about encapsulating that experience of darkness descending, coming from this place of kind of innocence, this place of kind of comfort and naivete, but being inspired out of all those things, being called out by a vision, by a dream to chase, to attain, to acquire. And, letting the kind of energy, the optimism of that action take us out into the unknown, but inevitably facing our own darkness in that experience of facing ourselves up against the world. So anyways, here is Darkness Descends. Let's listen to it. And it's off my second EP, actually, that I released in 2015. And just a forewarning, there's a long intro in this song. So it definitely lasts for more than a minute. It's kind of this synth, kind of dreamy, drone kind of intro. It's meant to kind of take you into this like smoky existence and then break into this song. So anyways, let's listen, and I hope you enjoy it. The sun it shone on your youthful head, drawing prophecies from the innocent. The dusk is here, now the view is skewed as a darkness descends. So I guess I liked the imagery of the sun shining on the top of their head, and that kind of absorbing the dream vapors, drawing out our visions, the sun inspiring us. I think that was the imagery that I had when I wrote that, drawing prophecies from the innocent. And prophecies from the innocent, it's kind of like an idea of having prophecies as a child with an innocent perspective, and how it's not the complete truth because we're viewing the world from a naive place. And at the same time, I think it's the purest form maybe of a vision or of a prophecy. Maybe it's like the purest, most good form of a vision or a prophecy that'll draw us out into the world. And then, that'll be the test of whether that vision or that prophecy actually holds to the salt of who we are. Whether that vision or prophecy or dream of ourself will hold up in all of the trials and tribulations we go through. Whether we will let it go or not. Or whether it was just kind of like a flight of fancy rather than this actual deep cosmic purpose. So, now the dusk is here and the view is skewed as the darkness descends. I think of like the day and then the dusk coming on, the sun setting, and how that changes the light and how it casts shadows on everything, and how that's where the dark side of everything is born, is in that dusk. And when that pure light is kind of tainted or adulterated in the darkness, you actually see the darkness in the light. And how maybe that skews our vision of that positive, innocent perspective. It can cast a serious slant on a curious mind. And how, it's kind of like darkness sets in as we reach maturity, as we start to mature, especially in our adolescence. I feel like that's our first real taste of darkness. Maybe not our first real taste, but it's like our first real dramatic struggle with it. As the kind of innocence and the playfulness of youth kind of wears away, the simplicity of all you really have to do is go to school and play, and your food is provided for you, your shelter is provided for you. That is, if you come from at least somewhat of a reasonably secure family situation. And, your friends are kind of, it's like easy to make friends. They're all at hand just by the fact that they're the people around us, the first kind of people that we're exposed to as we expand into the world. And how that, can kind of be like a dreamlike time of our life, I think. And then the world can start to get kind of serious. And things can kind of start to look differently to us. We can start to perceive in different ways, and maybe more negative, depressive ways. So, yeah. The eyes so wide with purest sense, now a skeptic's glare, so clouded and dense, the night it comes and the day it ends as the darkness descends. So yeah, it's just another, I think back then, the way I wrote, I notice I think I write now with, I'm able to, maybe it's because I'm older, I'm able to pull more from different dimensions of association in my songwriting. I notice with these old songs as I go back to them, it's kind of like I read the lyrics and I'm like, I'm just kind of saying the same thing in a new way over and over again, rather than bringing a different perspective or a different understanding into one concept. So anyways, but I think of a child's wonder, their eyes being wide with the purest sense, just kind of in awe of everything. And how, as we get older, that childlike wonder can turn into a skeptical glare at the world. I know for me at this time in my life, I was becoming more skeptical about things. And I was also, I think I was writing this song from a place of not fully comprehending, the aspect of darkness descending, because I also remember at that time I was kind of going through also like this high experience of starting to date more, starting to get a lot more attention from women, starting to, just delve into this single life. And I was kind of getting for the first time in my life of how much that can also be a distraction, and how, I think back to those women I would date and those relationships or those intrigues, and how, I kind of, I was a bit arrogant about it all. And I think I had to go through the experiences that I had to go through. But, it wasn't really until a little later, after I released this EP, that darkness really started to descend for me around my relationships with women. I had covered it a little bit in a past episode in a song called Anytime in the Sun, because that song was really written out of this kind of place of deep, forlorn yearning and longing for women, a woman's energy, and how that also kind of translated to a deep, forlorn longing for God and for connection to spirit, connection to ecstasy, connection to a Garden of Eden kind of pure, beautiful love experience of simplicity. So, anyways, at this point, I hadn't really gotten there yet. And I was doing this kind of counseling program, and this counseling program was very, the community around this counseling program was very pro sexuality and very Like there's polyamorous kind of activities in this community, and it was the first time in my life I thought about like, oh, maybe I would be interested in open relationships, but in the end, I ended up not not being a good idea for me. Just in my attachment system, I do a lot better with one person. It overwhelms me to deal with more than one woman. So, but at this time, I was exploring a bit more, and I was drawing a lot of attention from women. So I was kind of like feeling my sexual power in a different way at that time in my life too, coming out of this kind of long relationship that I was in throughout my 20s. But I believe I was more in a place where I still was expressing naivete, and I still was expressing kind of a forced confidence and an egotism, I guess. And I was also going through a lot of discontentment at that time too. The men's groups were really beautiful and they helped, but I also, never really felt like I really belonged in those groups or in this counseling program either. But in the next episode, I'll get into what I moved into that led me into the next album, which was the deep, cathartic, emotional upheaval album that was brought on by chasing after this girl. About this song is that that kind of hook kind of part that's like whoa whoa whoa, that part it always felt very tribal to me and very earthy, very rootsy, which this song to me actually does represent that, even though there's kind of a lot of cosmic swirling kind of going on in the beginning of it. But the guitar is very percussive, very tribal feeling, and it's kind of like I'm chanting to the universe, and this song I think for me is interpreted as kind of a ceremonial expression or a ritual kind of expression of darkness descending in our lives. Like I could envision myself putting on a kind of like interpretive performance of the natural cycles of life and the natural cycles of darkness descending into our adulthood and things becoming more serious, and how it's a very natural and necessary aspect of life that we all go through and that we all have to learn how to deal with. And I really like this kind of idea or this vision of doing that in a very intentional way, kind of doing it in a ceremonial way where it's like we're intentionally acknowledging that the darkness does need to be called in, because we know and we accept that the darkness refines us. The darkness, as we delve into it, it has a lot of messages in it for us. It has a lot of hidden truths of who we actually are and what our actual purpose is in the life that we are living, and where our gifts lie, where our deepest gifts lie. I always love the, I've through going through my own depression and everything and studying, finding words of wisdom around depression, and how I really love the concept of depression, being like this place that we delve deep into because we're confused and we don't know where to go, and we can't see the path ahead of us, but how it's almost like we have to dive deep down into this well of despair and of darkness in order to uncover or recover the seed of our truth, the seed of our true passions, the seed of what we actually really care about in this life. Because I think we have to go so deep into the aspects of life that we do not care about, that we do not have passion for, the aspects that we feel somehow beholden to, even though there's no magic in it for us, there's no passion in it for us. It's like that's what depresses us, is feeling like we're enslaved to these things about life that we have no passion for, that we don't want, and then just being destroyed by that because we feel imprisoned by things maybe we don't want to be doing or don't want to be a part of. But what's in that is that it causes us to dive so deep down inside of ourselves to have to identify the things that we really love, the things that really do matter to us, the things that do actually light us up. Because, what better contrast to have when we're in that deep darkness of like numb depression, sadness, grieving. That's kind of when we can identify these like things that give us life, that can pull us out of it. For me, it's always been music, it's always been creativity, it's always been expressing my true self and my true emotions, and also making art out of all of the inner turmoil that I go through, and putting passion to it and just singing it, expressing it in a way that moves me, and it's not always easy too. Sometimes I lose that passion and the depression takes me over. But I think now I'm old enough to know that never lasts. It comes in seasons, depression. So, darkness descending. Darkness is a natural part of our life. It descending on us is a natural aspect of life. I think if we do it with intention more, we might be more happy. We might just be more grounded in what this life really is and who we are as humans in this life. So, let us rejoice in our darkness. And let us go through it with intention and with understanding that it's going to happen. Alright, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Darkness Descends, another Songs of Healing episode. And as we move forward into this arc, deeper into this story, I hope you all are loving it, following along. And I'm wishing everybody the best, sending so much grace your way. And I'll catch you next time.